Meowdy, y'all. It's the Cutting Corner podcast hosted by your resident Capway Keo, while we talk about video editing tips, tricks, and tactics to stay up to date in the competitive content creation world. Today with me is 18-year-old based in Scotland, editor for Cody Ko, Odd Ones Out, Maaz, and plenty of others. It's Zade, the real Zade. Welcome to the show.
That was such a good introduction. Hi, thank you.
It was off the cuff. I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
All in one take. Damn. Good job.
We're a one take Andy here. We have so much to talk about and catch up on, for that matter, because I haven't spoken to you in many months. I think at least 6 months.
Oh yeah.
When a lot of the editors got together for the big Among Us game, which was a lot of fun. We should definitely do again.
100%.
Do you mind if I just jump right into it?
Go for it. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm so excited for this.
I'm excited to have you.
Yeah.
So, when you began working with Cody Ko, was there like a specific formula of creativity that you wanted to bring to the channel that wasn't already there? Or was it just kind of like you jump in and kind of felt it out as you went along?
Oh, wow. It was a huge change for me because I'm so used to unscripted stuff, behind the scenes, stuff like that. But with Cody, it was all commentary, and it was like, you got to cut this, you got to cut here. And my number one thing was always bringing, like, I don't know if I could call it like the Zade style, kind of just like the tiny edits that you put in that you either notice or you don't notice.
Oh, we absolutely notice. Yeah, that's what makes the edit so great. Yeah.
Yeah, I loved doing stuff like that. And that was like my main goal, was bringing that towards the videos. And then his manager, Kenny, he was like, wow, when I hired you, I was not expecting that. And that is really good. And that made my day 100%.
Yeah, that's something that you maybe not expect to hear, but love to hear it regardless.
Oh, definitely.
With Cody's style of humor, it definitely carries the video, right? But when your editing stepped in, so to speak, it added a whole different layer that just complemented the humor even more so.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Oh, of course, of course. And I wonder if you can give me a little peek behind the curtain. Has it influenced viewer retention or an increase in numbers in any way?
I will say, comments wise, compared to other videos that I've edited, you don't usually see that many comments like, oh, wow, the editing here, or wow, the editing was great.
Right.
But with Cody, like I have this website thing. It's not my website, but it's a website I use. I think it's called YT Comment or something like that. You basically type in a word and type in a video link, and it'll search every comment with that. And so after every single video I edit now, I just type in editor and just see what people are saying about the editing, good and bad. Okay. And in the first video I did, there was a lot of like, I'd say it was about 50-50, like, oh, this editing's over the top, it's too much. And then the other half was like, wow, I love this. Like, who's the new editor? I want to see more and stuff like that.
Right. I mean, to be fair, your predecessor, Noah, definitely had a lot of pushback as well, as far as the audience being split 50-50.
Yeah.
I have to imagine that it's not easy to digest the comments, whether they're good or bad, when they're all coming in at once, so to speak, because it's obvious when there's a new editor, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
When they're all coming in at once at the same time, it's hard to filter out what you should really take to heart and things like that, or what kind of advice you should be taking from just the audience rather than the creator themselves. Obviously, at the end of the day, you want to make sure it's what the creator themselves want.
Oh, exactly.
But how much critique from the audience did you really take to heart in Cody's earliest edits that you did for him?
You know, I will say, I think I've mainly got positive critique, like stuff like, editor, can you put like a volume warning, like before Cody screams or something or shouts or something? And then I put that in the next video, and that same person had commented like, wow, the editor listened to me, thank you so much, and stuff like that.
That's
and
awesome.
Then I had other people who obviously hadn't seen the comment that were like, wow, I'm so glad that the editor put a volume warning. That was so useful because I had kids and I didn't want to wake them up and stuff like that. And I was like, wow, you know what? That's actually a good point for comment. And then, you get a comment that says, this is bad, you should quit. So you got to balance your pros and cons there.
Of course.
But yeah, no, it's so much fun.
I remember specifically there was an edit I did for Ted Nivison. I think it was a VR stream highlight. Video. He was streaming VR games, and it was like a compilation of the best ones that he played or the worst ones. I can't remember exactly. But there was a particular game that he played that the stream itself, I remember being there, it would just give epileptic people like a huge headache.
Oh, wow.
And I remember when editing down the VOD, I cut out every single like flicker of light, and I put a warning / label, like explaining what I was doing with the edit. And I said, there's an epileptic, sensitive scene here. So I went ahead and, did that. Mm-hmm. And I didn't really think anything of it. But after the fact, once it was uploaded, there was like a dozen or so, if not more, comments saying, "Oh my God, thank you so much for the epilepsy warning. Yeah. I'm very sensitive to that."
You never expect it.
It's the little stuff like that that makes me appreciate the comments that actually interact about the editor, Oh,
I love, I was thinking the other day, there was a video, I think it was one of the more recent videos I did for Cody. I can't remember what it was called. But in the video, he was reacting to this another game show. And in the game show, there's a lot of loud parts in the middle. And so I did this thing where right towards the end, after Cody had just shouted, and then afterwards I put editor's note, by the way, Cody just shouts. And then I saw about 15 comments like, "Nice, thanks editor for that. That was so useful.
Thanks for saving me."
Yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah, nice, good job. And then they're like, "Oh, I turned my volume down just for nothing to happen," because sometimes I just bait it because it's so funny watching them just comment about it. It's so great. Actually, there's one specific comment where they're like, "Hey, my baby was asleep. Usually she always wakes up if Cody shouts or something, but having that audio warning was so useful." And I was like, wow, that made me feel happy about doing it now.
Yeah, you definitely think twice about anything that you come across in the recording or the VOD or whatever it is.
For sure.
Once you have a comment like that, you always think about it. So.
Exactly.
Moving away from Cody a little bit, I wanted to talk about editing for animators.
Yes.
Editing for animators on YouTube is often vaguely either swept under the rug or it's hardly discussed at all. Mm-hmm. Could you walk me through what the process is editing for animation content, your clients Odd Ones Out, Maaz, Illy? Is there as much effort to put into the edit as say like a Twitch stream highlight or pre-recorded commentary videos?
Oh, I'd say I'm not sure if it's necessarily effort comparable. I'd say they're so different. They're very with James or Odd Ones Out. What I do for him is he uses he's got his artist and himself to draw more the stills of his character or the background and stuff like that, and then my job is all of the stills are set up in a kind of pre-made timeline, and then I'm animating and tweening between them, having them bounce and having arms move, and sometimes I get to add special effects. I did a bunch of motion graphics for one of them where I animated a YouTube thing to come in, even though it's for 3 seconds. It's so satisfying, but that is all done in Premiere essentially, whereas usually the videos I do are 90% After Effects. So it's such a different type. With Alyssa or Illymations, I do her outros essentially, and so she'd have a animated sketch of what she wants to look like, and then I go into After Effects and then make it happen, and it's so satisfying to watch, especially towards the end of the video. And then you get people "Oh, how'd you do that?" and stuff like that.
So it's much more involved than just cut up the animation and paste it on the timeline, sync up the audio.
No, I don't really do I only do timeline stuff for James. For the rest, it's mainly I do all of Maaz's I do a lot of Maaz's ads, the sponsored videos, the honey ads or Nebula, stuff like that. Alyssa is the outros and then animating and editing those, and then for James is the actual animation of his character or jumping or throwing things, text, stuff like that.
Right. No, I always thought it was really cool that you integrate After Effects into the ad reads as much as you do, just because it actually keeps that viewer retention throughout the ad, which is so hard to do now, because I feel if it's not incredibly engaging to actually watch or even humorous to watch, the viewer will just kind of skip ahead. And I can't blame anyone for that. But if you're able to actually find a way to do it, then awesome,
Yeah, no, usually for me, I think about it if I'm watching a YouTube video and the video plays and now to my sponsor, my immediate response is just skip 10 seconds, skip as fast as I can. But then I watched this channel Flash Skits. I don't know if you've heard of that. They're an animation channel.
Yes, I have.
The way they do their ads, they do it as this whole, it's almost like a video within a video, like a sketch, comedy kind of thing within the video with over the top editing and zooms and all of this and 3D. And I just watched it and I was I didn't even notice this was an ad. Like I didn't even want to skip this. I just wanted to see what happened. With stuff like Maz's ads especially, I like doing all the graphics and animation. Maybe like for one of them I had Maz, he was like walking around in Minecraft or something, and then transitions to the ad almost seamlessly. And it's like I like doing stuff like that because it's like I would stay to watch the ad. I try and think, if this ad was playing, would I skip it, or what would stop me from skipping it, you know?
Right. How much effort did this editor put into this ad?
Yeah.
Am I really going to skip this? Yeah.
Yeah. Because, I mean, to be fair, they get paid the same whether they stick up an image of the company and speak or not. But it's like, I think the extra effort, that's where you get people to actually consider the product.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Because it shows that, maybe not the creator, but at least the editor was very adamant in making sure that the product is worth your attention for a little bit.
Definitely. Yeah. No, I love it. Putting in all the extra effort, it's worth it.
So you've had also like the unique opportunity to combine animation with like real world footage on channels like RushLight Invader. So what's the process like combining the two mediums when you're in After Effects and Premiere?
It's weird. It's kind of like one of my favorite videos that I've ever edited was for Rush. And it was like almost, what's that movie called? Who Framed Roger Rabbit? I think that's what it's called. Where it's like where they interact with the animated version of like, a real thing. And that was so much fun, but it was so complicated. That video took, from when he sent me the footage, I think it was 9 months before it was finished, because it was such a terrible process. Like it was such a long process because I'd never done it before when I first started it. And so I took it in, I was like, okay, Nakey Jakey was the example that you sent me for the style.
I picked up on that vibe.
Yeah. So I just throw it all in, maybe change the backgrounds and do the green screen. But then the green screen wasn't amazing. And I was like, oh no. So then I put it into After Effects and the green screen was great, but I'd already keyed out half of it in Premiere. So I had to redo that entire half. And then I started editing it all in Premiere because a lot of what Nakey Jakey does is in Premiere, or like there's not that many. Yeah, you know what I mean. And so
it's not too complicated. No.
Yeah. So I was gonna do it like that, and I just watched it and I was like, I'm not enjoying this. Like, I don't think this is that great a video the way that I'm editing it right now. I basically scrapped the entire thing from scratch after almost finishing the video, and then redid it in After Effects, and I was so much happier. Basically was setting all of the animated drawings as 3D layers and set up the entire thing as a 3D scene, and then moving the camera with them in 3D, if that makes sense.
No, it does. Yeah. I've done that before, not to the scale that you've done, but I've done that process before. Was it a difficult process to actually get the camera to play nice with the base footage? Because if it's no higher than 1080p, it's really difficult to like operate camera movement. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that is a perfect description of what the problem was. A lot of the time I'd zoom in and then it would be like 4 pixels on the screen. And it's like, it's barely watchable or it's blurry. And so I kind of just hit a point where I had to deal with it. Like there's not much you can do when it's already all filmed at 1080p and such like that.
Unless you wanted to upscale it.
Yeah, I thought about it. I was like, maybe I should put every frame in an upscaler. Maybe that work. But no, I was like, okay, maybe I'll just, I think when you zoom in with a camera, if you use for context in After Effects, there's a 2-node and a 1-node camera. And the 2-node one is the one where it kind of scales together. And you can also add like a blur, camera blur, like realistic camera blur. And so I started using the 2-node camera thanks to Archie, who, by the way, taught me basically all the 3D camera stuff that I know.
Archie.
Yeah, shout out Archie. But yeah, so I used a 2-node camera, which made the quality a lot better when I was zooming in. So it didn't really lose too much quality overall. But yeah, another really difficult part was timing the video with his voiceovers of talking about the characters. Like I went through the entire thing in like 9 passes. First one, green screening it all. Second one, obviously cutting out all the footage that I don't need. And then third one, like picking all the best takes. And then I had to bring in the characters as like a reference, and then I take that into an After Effects comp so I could actually animate it, and then I'd have to do the sound effects and then the music and then the voices. And yeah, it was a long video. It was a lot of fun though. I'd love to do it again now that I know what I know. I think I'd do it so much faster and more efficiently.
I was going to say, I have to imagine that you figured out some sort of workflow by the end of it. Oh, yeah.
I learned so much while editing that video. So much, specifically about 3D stuff, and green screening as well is a lot harder than I thought it would be. Like getting a perfect
green screening
camera.
in After Effects.
the lighting for a good green screen is so essential.
Oh,
like
yes,
his
absolutely.
shoes would change color if you green screened it wrong, or the entire thing would disappear. And
yeah, then you have to get masking involved if there's like a part of the green screen
as well. Rotoscoping. Yeah. Oh, don't get me started. But yeah, no, it was fun.
But that's
though.
Cool.
It's worth it.
It's
every
cool that
time.
it was a great learning experience.
Yeah. I think like with editing, I think my number one goal is always to learn something new. Like I've started using Blender recently. It's literally open on my computer right now. And I've been trying to incorporate that into edits of my own and for other people's content as well. Because I think it just like it adds that extra detail.
Sure, of course. Yeah, I've noticed that a lot of I'll say higher skill-based editors are moving towards using Blender and integrating it with their edits and their creative visual edits. Is the VHS tape with your name on it for your highlight reel, is that Blender?
That is Blender, yes.
Okay, yeah. I had a suspicion, wasn't sure.
Yeah. Oh, I love that reel.
Me too.
Honestly, I'm so proud of it.
I'll definitely put it on screen for our video viewers.
Thank you. But, yeah, that was a lot went through with making that. Like, I don't want to stray too off topic, but like,
no, of course, go for it.
When I was making that, I started off, I literally just wrote, it was like just black background, white text with the music. And it was just, I want to have a tape going here. I want to have this video here, then cut to this creator, then animate like this. And it was just text. And I was like, oh, what do you guys think? It's like, okay, that's cool. That's cool. And then when I actually started doing it, it was so much more complicated than I thought it would be.
Oh, of course. Storyboarding's one thing, but
yeah, storyboarding is so much fun. I've started storyboarding a lot of my edits, actually. I think it might be weird. I don't know many editors that do it, but like if it's like a big edit, like I'm working on a video for my own channel right now, and like I storyboarded the intro, and I find it so useful and so much fun just like planning it.
Yeah, I have such a, what's the word? The only word that comes to mind is is fetish. I want to say that I have a thing, right, for video essays that start with really like cool, simple Blender integrated intros, and then dramatic music, and then it fades to title card. That it's my favorite. Exactly, it's my favorite.
What you're talking about. I think Archie did a video with Ted on that.
Oh, the pizza one.
Yeah,
I know. Yeah, the incorrect history pizza is so good.
That is a perfect example of the intro I was thinking about. I saw those photos and I was like, it must be Wheat that did this. Like, he's the only guy I know that can Photoshop this well.
Yeah, shout out Wheatskins.
Yeah, shout out Wheatskins. But yeah, no, that was such a good intro. Such a good intro. A prime example of what kind of stuff you can do with Blender. It takes a long time, to be fair, but personally, I think it's worth it. 100%.
Absolutely, yeah. I slowly started learning it, but then I realized the time sink that it is. And unfortunately, in my current schedule, I suppose, it doesn't really fit anywhere outside of, my little free time that I actually do have. And right now it's dedicated to recording the podcast. Yeah. So I would love to learn Blender eventually, and I probably will. But I've had multiple friends over the years try to help me through things like SFM and, eventually moved over to Blender. And I realized that Blender is more universal. So I kind of stuck with that. Yeah. And I remember I was in the process of making a video essay. I had a script going. I was learning Blender to figure out how I would create a book from scratch. It was a whole process, but it eventually fell apart because I was falling behind on my actual work and it just didn't work out. But needless to say, I understood that Blender is going to be where it's at moving forward for really high tier edits and people that are looking for really, really dynamic stuff. So creators like Ludwig that need help with like a promotional video for something. Or I remember Connor Eats Pantsies award, I believe. Remember the award show they had that had a really cool dynamic intro? Just things like that. Like that is going to be the tool that editors pick up outside of Premiere, AE, Final Cut, whatever it might be, right? Yeah. But it's worth learning for anyone that's like even kind of teetering on, maybe I'll pick it up, blah, blah, blah. Start learning now, especially if you're young. If you start learning at the age 17, 18, oh my God, you'll be making insane things once you're my age for sure if you keep on it. So
I think number one tip, if you're thinking, I really want to try this thing, but it's going to take so long to learn, it will not go any faster the longer you wait to start. I thought about doing Blender for so long, and I only really started using it last year for my reel. And then I was just thinking a lot of this would have been faster and easier and probably look better if I'd started last year. If I started before that, or if I'd worked on it earlier. You should definitely get into it while you can early.
100%. So as an editor that leans on like the benefits of dynamic link in Premiere and After Effects, what are like some key beginning ways to integrate it into edits that would like benefit someone just beginning to like mess around in After Effects?
I think a big thing that people have as a misconception with dynamic links is that like you have to link an entire video or like huge sections and then do that entire section in After Effects and then adjust it. And if you did a cut wrong, you got to redo it. I'd say just start with small sections. You could practice with the zoom. Let's say you want to do a more dynamic zoom, for example, in After Effects. There are hundreds of plugins I could recommend, but
yeah, go for it. I can throw them up on screen and list them in the description.
Number one, probably Motion 3. Motion 3 is, I think, one of the best plugins for After Effects. If I could only have one, Motion 3 would be one of my top 3 choices easily. So Motion 3 allows you to set up your own keyframe like curves for the ease in and ease out and stuff like that. And so it's literally you select keyframes and just click a button and it applies it instantly. Unlike Premiere where you have to drag like the handles to make them perfect. Sometimes it doesn't stay in the middle and it looks off. You just press a button and it's there. You can create null objects for 3D stuff and anything really. So many hotkeys come with it. Anchor point adjusts and there's so much. So Motion 3, 100%. There's copy pasta. That's one where instead of having to download an image every time, you just right click, copy image. In After Effects, you press paste and boom, it's in your timeline.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's so useful. There's Text Exploder, which is for separating letters or words or lines. If you've typed a whole text thing, instead of typing and retyping again and trying to adjust it so that it fits well. There's Dojo Shifter, which is not that popular one, I'm finding, but it's basically for delaying animations. Like if you have text bouncing in and you want all of them to be delayed by one frame, instead of manually moving them one by one, then you just press a button, boom, and it delays them all by whatever input you want. You can do the same with keyframes and value. Yeah, there's like my After Effects folder of plugins is so big. There are so many. I don't think I could edit without them fully. Like right now, it would take a lot of adjusting because I rely on them almost. But yeah, all of that taken into account, I'd say start with small sections. Like maybe you want to zoom in on someone's face or you want to make their face cam bigger if you're editing as a VOD. Just cut that section that you want to be bigger. It could be a small section, a big section, and then right click, take into dynamic link, and then just work in After Effects slowly. And you'll realize things that don't work and things that do work. You'll get faster and faster the more you do it. Like right now, I don't even think about it. I'm just, I want his mouth to get bigger here. Right click, After Effects, select his face, and then I click my preset for it and stuff like that. It really is about starting small, and then you'll get bigger and bigger as you go ahead. And then you can do whole videos in After Effects if you wanted to.
Yeah, I think being able to do full videos in After Effects, especially for content that you edit, it's really a talent. Obviously, editing in itself is a talent, but this is definitely a whole separate thing. You and people like No Good Davis, who we had on for episode 1.
Oh yeah.
Just have a really, really nice knack for After Effects and being able to take any piece of content and being able to manipulate it in, like you said, ways for motion or camera work and things like that. Being able to have an eye for what you can do with any given piece of footage is definitely its own talent in its own right.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, amazing work always. And I think you're someone who has like a clear understanding of the benefits of utilizing motion in After Effects, and whether or not you're doing your keyframing manually or with plugins like you mentioned, like Motion 3, Motion Bro, I think there is.
Yeah.
You're fully aware of how much life it can bring into creating.
Definitely. I think movement is one of the things that keeps you into a video. It can obviously be overdone, like you don't want the camera shaking like 24/7 throughout the video, but a lot of even having text instead of just coming up on screen, sometimes having it like animate in or interact with the background and stuff like that itself, even if it's subtle and you may not notice it, I think it definitely hooks people in a lot more.
100%. I remember there was a specific edit on a Cody Ko video that I thought you really knocked out of the park, and it was the plane and the window.
Oh yes, I had so many comments about that edit because so many people thought it was real for some reason. They're like, that plane edit almost had me. The first, like, I genuinely thought it was real. It was just like, the wildest thing is that's not even the most crazy edit that I've done. It's about the timing of it and how I made it interact with the scene.
Exactly. Exactly why I mentioned it. Right.
Yeah.
Do you have a particular edit that you think was like the most crazy that you've done that you can think of?
Oh, I think the most out there ones I've done have been like for my current unreleased video. I'm not sure if I've showed you the intro yet, but I can send that to you. What I've got so far in the intro.
Would I be able to put it up on the podcast?
Yeah, of course.
Awesome.
It's a short segment so far. Only the start is done. It's basically like if I showed you the original footage that I worked with for those first two opening sections, you would think nothing. It's just boring. The first one is him standing in a store, like walking slowly towards the camera, completely irrelevant of anything. And then the second one, he's just lying on the floor and there's just an oven. And I spent probably 4 hours trying to track smoke to come out of the oven in this clip. Yeah. And then like I added this Wii effect. So it was like the Wii hand was taking the person in the video, Daniel, was taking him into the scene.
The cursor?
Yeah.
Cool.
And so like, and doing stuff like that, like it takes so much time, but I always think it looks so cool.
I was going to say it's always worth it for the end product.
Yeah, always worth it. Always worth it. That's basically my catchphrase with them. Amount of times I've said it, always worth it. But it really
always
is.
Worth it, yeah.
It really is. Like when you see that final product that you pictured in your head, you see it in front of you. It's a crazy feeling. It's so good.
Yeah, man. I mean, you've tackled a lot of different content on the platform, like recorded game playthroughs, full-blown animations, things like IRL outdoors content. Would you say out of the mediums you've tackled thus far, like you've developed a favorite to edit?
Oh, easily. Easily my favorite is IRL stuff, specifically outdoor IRL stuff.
Okay.
This video I did for Who's Chaos.
Right.
It was a military video where he got sponsored by the
Marines.
Yeah, and he basically did military training for 2 days or 2 or 3 days, and that was just so much raw footage. And he just said to me, he was like, Zade, just go crazy.
Yeah, go crazy. That's what you'd love to hear.
So much fun. I can't express how much I enjoyed editing that video, whether it's a random explosion and then making it look like it's actually there, or having the text like following the scene, or having loading bars. Yeah, I think IRL stuff is just, you can do so much with what's given in front of you.
It's a blank canvas. Yeah,
it's a blank canvas, and that's what I really like, is when I have raw footage, funny or not, you can make it funnier or you can add to it by doing the editing when you have all that free options. As harsh as it is to say, for me, my least favorite is probably gaming. I edited gaming videos for probably a year. Some of the first videos, actually the first paid video I did was for an Animal Crossing channel.
That's right. Yeah, and I've seen that as well.
He's a great guy. Absolutely love him, Kang. It's a weird story with Kang. When I was, I think, 13, I won a mic giveaway on his stream. And my DMs, when he contacted me to edit for him, my DMs still had the
giveaway information.
Like,
That's funny.
Oh, gee, thank you so much. I'm so happy. I'm using my mic all the time and all of that. And it's like, it was so surreal seeing that. Great guy, great content. I just didn't enjoy doing it. It was really just, I'm gonna get this video done, get paid, move on. Whereas with IRL content, it's almost like I forget I'm getting paid. I almost treat it as like a
fun school project.
Yeah. It's just like, I have free will. Let's see what I can do. Let's see the extent of my abilities right now.
Right.
And the next video, it should be better. Next video, I should be able to do more. I should be able to add more, bring more 3D in, stuff like that. But yeah, with gaming, it's a lot harder, in my opinion. But obviously, there's people that make it really, like Davis especially. Davis with those Among Us videos, he does things that I wouldn't even have thought of. Because with gaming, I struggle so much to be creative, but like people like Davis, like they make it possible, you know? But yeah, I really like IRL. Blank canvas is a perfect way to describe it.
Well, you talked about for a little bit, the whole concept of not wanting to do the type of edits that just make you feel like you're not able to be creative with it, or you're not able to flex your artistic ability to its fullest extent.
Yeah.
Would you say, for you personally, and we can talk about like it as a whole afterwards, but would you say that you have, so to say, like a price as far as like, okay, yeah, I may not like gaming videos, but for that price, I would do it. Like, you know, whatever it would take.
Oh, that's a good question. I think there is a price to almost anything. That is hard.
The reason that I ask is because I'm in a position where, I'll be completely honest, I don't love the process of what I do, but I'm good at it. Yeah. So all I do right now, currently, day to day, is cut down recorded footage for a React, right? A React video.
Yeah.
And subtitle. That's all I do. That's all my job is. But how much I get paid weekly is enough for me to say I don't care.
Yeah.
As much as I miss doing those creative edits for, you know, like Noel and his React channel.
Yeah.
And, you know, editing for people like Ted. I really do miss the creative edits, but being able to help another channel, you know, with a really quick turnaround time in cutting and subtitling and all that.
Yeah.
Because I'm good at it, the price that they pay me, I'm kind of willing to toe the line a little bit and say, okay, you know what? All right, it's not so bad. If I really want to be creative, I can do it on the side. That's kind of what this whole podcast thing's about. But I always like to ask different editors if they have a quote unquote price, and not necessarily what the price is, but if they would ever sacrifice their creativity, you know, for income alone.
I think the situation in which I do it would only work if I'm still able to do other things at the side. Like you said with the podcast, like you can still be creative doing stuff like this that you enjoy.
Because it's an artistic field. It's not like it's just a skill set job, right? It's very much an artistic field.
Yeah, I think at some point the price, it's like it's not smart to not take it at a certain price, right? Like at a certain amount, it's like you're almost set for life for that, and you wouldn't need it. It's like, but it's so hard for me to think about almost replacing. Like if it's I can do what I'm doing with Cody, maybe I do it less. Let's say like I do it once every 2 weeks instead of what I'm currently doing. And then I'm doing daily stuff for someone else, but but what they pay is so good, then I think I'd have to take it. But if it was replace what I'm doing with Cody now, or what I'm doing with other people that I work with now for that price, I don't know if I could do it. I think it would be so hard because like when I'm not into what I'm editing, what usually happens is I get bored and I just stop. I have to be fully committed to what I'm doing and enjoy what I'm doing to be able to even complete a video. You know, I will say, yes, there's definitely a price, but it would be very, very hard to take it for me personally.
No, of course.
Yeah.
And I figured that would be someone like you. Your answer would be as far as like someone who's very creative and involved with the artistic and anyone who's creatively involved with their edits really would probably struggle for that. Yeah. I mean, it's not, I know plenty of editors that just do really simple edits, whether it be stream highlights or, you know, pre-recorded gameplay, whatever it might be. And it's just kind of a job to them, you know, and that's totally fair. It's obviously a perfectly valid way of looking at editing. But when I really came into my own, when I started being really creative with my editing, it does kind of devalue anything less than that when you're working, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really the only thing I wanted to say on that.
I fully agree. I think like the more creative that I've been able to be, like after that chaos video, I was almost running that high of, oh, I need more, like I want to be able to do more creative stuff. And then boom, Among Us blows back up again and I'm doing an Among Us video. And then it's like, oh, well, there goes that fun and stuff like that.
Right, exactly, yeah. So I think editors often find themselves feeling a bit isolated online in terms of like not having anyone locally who might understand what they do. But being based in Europe and specifically the UK area, I feel like you have a unique global circumstance in which you actually have a lot of talented peers somewhat close to you. Has experiences like meeting with other editors like Scott Post and Elodie given you like an extra layer of appreciation in your work? Like being able to conceptualize, hey, there's actually people that do what I do and not just some internet profile pictures that I'm familiar with.
Oh, definitely. I still remember I was so nervous to meet them because England, it was a long kind of travel. I'm pretty sure it was like 6 hours or so. But yeah, it was crazy because that was the first time I'd met someone that I'd only ever spoken to or interacted with online in person. And like I got there and I was always like, I don't know what to do. But then after a while, I kind of just, like it was kind of just like talking to them on Discord and stuff, but in person.
Yeah, exactly. It's always weird the first 10, 15 minutes, but yeah, it picks back up.
Yeah, but it's a good feeling to know that, it's all real. like I'm not
absolutely.
going crazy. Like people, like they have lives outside of editing, and like you can still hang out and stuff outside of editing. And they were so nice as well. They were so nice and funny. Elodie especially, she strikes me as such a mom of the group, if that makes sense. Like, looking after me and Scuzz for like like the two kids going crazy. But but it was so much fun. Yeah. I definitely recommend. It's weird because being in Scotland, I haven't met them, but I've heard of one other editor that's in Scotland. They're like esports editors. So like for Sentinels, the esports team.
Oh, for Sentinels.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're pretty big. We'd already followed each other for a while, but I'd never spoken to him or interacted with him or anything. And my roommate at my college right now, he was like, "Oh, hey, do you know this guy? I think he goes by Apazo online. His name's Ross." I was like, "I don't think I recognize him." And then Ross sent me a DM, and he's like, "Hey, do you know?" And then he says my roommate's name. I was like, "Yeah, how do you?" And then I clicked, and I was like, "Wait, this is him?" That's crazy, because they went out to a pub like a day before, and my roommate, he tells everyone he can that I edit for Cody Ko, because he's a huge fan of Cody Ko. And so the guy was like, "Wait, I feel like I know a guy with a similar name who also edits for Cody Ko. That's crazy." And then, the link was made.
That's funny.
And he's only like an hour away from me, or 2 hours away. It's crazy. 100% should meet up with him at some point. But yeah, I remember I always got such a huge FOMO.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Because most people are like, it's weird with editing. It's kind of a flip, where usually all my friends that I spoke to online would be in America, like every single one. But with editing, there's so many British editors. It's crazy.
There really are. And I think that comes from there being so many British content creators.
So true. Yeah, that's a good point, actually. A lot of them are hired or working for other British content creators, but it's great. It's really great, especially with time zones. Like we were saying earlier, it's difficult to really like interact and stuff unless it's 4 a.m. for me, which is 6 p.m. for you, or it's 2 a.m. for you, and that's like the afternoon. It's like we have to time things accordingly.
Right, exactly. Like I've got a friend who edits for I'm Alex. Yeah. And their name is Pantivist. Shout out Pantivist. And they stay up very late, and that's one of the main reasons I'm able to stay up and like chat with them and game with them, is because it's like 5 a.m. for him, and he's like, "Hey, what's up, Keo? Yeah, let's play some games or something." But people that I interact with on that side of the pond, it's far and few between, unfortunately. So people like you, Sam Woodhull, it's sad that I don't get to chat with y'all more, but that's why I wanted to bring up the circumstance of being an editor and sort of feeling like you're isolated sometimes, and not feeling like there's anyone super close IRL that knows exactly what you do and does what you do. And I thought that, meeting up with other editors was a unique experience that you and I have both done, but not everyone has. So
I highly recommend it. If obviously be safe and stuff like that, but
of course, yeah, especially nowadays.
Yeah, but meeting people that you've spoken to for that time, the feeling is surreal. It really is.
Oh, it definitely is.
It's genuinely like almost a realization that they really exist, and mutual acknowledgement. Like, wait, you're real. Wait, you're real too. This is like we're actually here talking, hanging out right now, and all of that.
I was super fortunate and was able to meet up with a group of editing friends in LA last year.
Yeah.
In October, we had originally planned for VidCon, but it had gotten canceled. But, a few of us had already bought plane tickets, and we said, "Oh, screw, let's just go ahead and, plan a trip around the same area." And sure enough, we met up in LA, and I got to meet some amazing editors, and we all stayed in a Airbnb together. Well, actually, no, there was 2 Airbnbs, but we stayed together in the same general area. I met up with Slamsicle's editor and Just Roll With It, their podcast, their editor Tyson.
Oh, I love Tyson.
Avery Swanson, who is now a coworker, but he used to work with some voice actors who do content on YouTube. I met up with Pay the Musician. I met up with Alyssa, or Ayella, as she's known online. I believe she edits for Puns. Yeah, Alyssa edited for Puns. I met up with Barry Bebop, who is the editor for Doug Doug. He's super cool. Love that guy. Radstads, who is the editor for Ludwig's TikTok. And Ziggy Dirk, who's edited, oh my God, like a tons of variety of creators.
Oh yeah, Zig.
And it was just really nice meeting up with everybody, and having that mutual shared realization of, oh my God, we all do the same thing. That's crazy. But IRL, and hearing everyone speak stories of their creators and stuff like that was really cool. So did y'all get to have a conversation like that when you had met up? Just talk, not necessarily gossip, but break bread a little bit over editing.
Yeah, no, yeah, we talked about like I believe we talked about like who we'd edited for at the time, and like how it how we were doing it and how we enjoyed it and stuff like that. It's like it's weird talking about editing to other editors, because it's like they fully know what you're saying. Like sometimes I talk to people,
oh my God, editing, someone understands.
And I'm like, yeah. I'd be like, oh, I spent like 4 hours doing this smoke track, and they're like, why not just like drag and drop? And I'm like, ouch. Okay.
You're right. Okay.
Yeah, I guess I should have just drag and drop. Why didn't I think about that?
That's the funniest part about talking to other editors, especially in a group, when you're like, oh, I spent all this time doing this, and then one person's like, why didn't you just XYZ? And it's like, there's always a solution I don't know.
It's even when like they don't know why it's difficult. Like I still know people that don't fully know why I get paid to do what I'm doing. They're just like, oh, but don't you just cut videos? Oh, don't you just...
Yeah, isn't it? You get handed the footage, you just put it together.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, come on, like a little bit of respect goes a long way, it's kind of nice.
For sure. I mean, it's, again, it just gets chalked up to it being a creative medium. So, it could be artwork, and you're still going to get the people that are like, oh, aren't you literally just drawing? You're just drawing,
That actually reminds me real quick about the people with editing. Do you have any like with IRL people? Do you have any experience with them finding out, or you telling them that you're an editor? My parents, for example, they both had like they actually were more proud, to be fair. It was like wow, so all this stuff that he's been doing in his room for all this time, now he's getting paid for it. That's crazy. Like, good job, and all of that. And I absolutely love that feeling. And then they start supporting me, and like Christmas gifts and stuff would be like, computer parts that I could edit more and stuff like cool. that. I know, I absolutely love that. And same with like my best friend, the one in that video that I sent you that I'm working on. He's been my best friend since I want to say I was like 10 or something. Like,
okay, since y'all were kids.
Cool. Yeah, like we live in different cities now because of college, but we still I go over to his city to film stuff with him. For this channel and stuff, and it's like he was so supportive because he's studying film, and so we talk about this stuff all the time. He's not into editing so much, but he's into the directing and all of that. And
okay, cool.
Having someone that is fully like I have people that watch a Cody Ko video and immediately they check the description. Did Zade edit this? Oh wow, this is great. And then they leave a like and stuff like that. And they
that's
comment,
awesome.
like, oh, this is great. And even people that have no idea, like they don't understand what I'm doing when I'm editing. My IRL friends would join my stream just like that and follow and be like, oh wow, this is great. I have no idea what you're doing, but keep it up and stuff like that.
Yeah, it looks complicated. Great job.
Exactly. So yeah, there's always a bright side. I think it's quite fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. My parents were, for the most part, pretty supportive. I think back in 2016, when I really started like actually getting paid for editing work.
Yeah.
They were a bit hesitant, like, wait, you're going to get paid to do what? Make videos? What is that all about? Like they understood that I wanted to get into like film at the time, and that I needed like, real world experience of like actually putting it together and stuff like that. And I had wanted to work for YouTubers for a long time, but I hadn't had any experience prior, up to that point, as far as like working in a professional capacity.
Yeah.
And then I started working with a channel called Loxton, or Noggin, goes by both names.
Okay.
But it's now a Pokemon based channel. Wow. But they do all sorts of content. But he was the one to give me my first few videos. And that really put me in a position to be able to say, I have something on my portfolio. I can actually go and start looking for editing gigs now.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've edited some interesting videos on that channel. When I go and look at my original work now, I'll put it up on the screen. It's kind of embarrassing to look back on, but it's a fun retrospect. It's
100%.
You know, you think about what you were capable of. How long ago is this now? 6 years ago? Oh,
wow.
God.
You can see your improvement.
Yeah, it's definitely different. I'll say that much. But when you just, you look at what you're able to accomplish in the amount of time that, from your beginning to, your current state, it makes you appreciate things a little bit more. But anyway, relating back to what we were speaking about prior, when I started in 2016, my parents were very hesitant as far as like wondering if it would be able to be a real job ever for me, so to speak.
That's
like
true.
Something that can like feed me, put bread on the table, etc. Because to be fair, at the time I was making like 200 a week off of the videos, and it wasn't terrible, but it was because it would, take me a whole week to edit a video, and not knowing, how plugins work or presets work or things of that nature. It was, a time consuming process for me, more so than myself now, for sure. And being able to crank out, a whole video, a whole 8 to 15 minute video in one day now, in comparison to it taking a week for me prior, is crazy. So I'm thankful for the growth that I've had to the point where I can actually, quadruple, sextuple the income that I was making back then.
Yeah.
But it's been a journey for sure.
Oh, so true. I still remember when I first started editing, it was my own stuff, and I was using I was using Movie Maker at first. I used to. Do you know it's like Mario plush videos?
Yes.
Yeah, you know those?
Yes.
I used to film those with my little brother, and I'd edit them in Movie Maker, and then we just watch them. Those were where I started. And then my dad was like, "Oh wow, you seem to really like this editing thing. Let me buy you a laptop and I'll get you this thing called Power Director," which was
oh my God.
Have you heard of Power Director?
Yeah, I have.
The editing that was the first, like, that was the closest thing to resemble Premiere that I used, like, when I started. Mm-hmm. And I just edited Roblox videos with my brother and Minecraft videos, and then I got Sony Vegas.
Yeah. In high school, when you got Vegas, it was like you're playing with the big boys.
Oh, it was crazy. I thought I could do anything. I was like 12, and I'd invite my friends over, and then we'd film some like ad or some sketch, because we loved like Nigahiga and Smosh and stuff like that. And then they'd be like, "Okay, Zade, edit it now." And then we edit it, and then we all watch it. We loved it.
That's amazing. No, I know exactly the type of video you're talking about.
Yeah, I love how you can relate to this. Like, I don't know anyone else who remembered those like Mario plush videos.
No, I know 100% what you're talking about.
I used to love those.
There was a video that I remember editing a long time ago. Windows Movie Maker, of course.
Yeah, of course.
It was one of the first pieces of content that I'd ever made. I can't even call it content. It's just, it's a kid messing around in Windows Movie Maker. You know what I mean? I had taken, I forgot what kind of camcorder it was. It was like one of those, oh God, what were they called? I'll see if I can like find a picture of it, but it was those really popular, it was about the size of a smartphone, and it had a single lens on it. Mm-hmm. It was like before GoPros. It was called something else. They were so popular. It was like the go-to camera that you would buy if you wanted to record video for like vlog stuff, right, on YouTube.
Oh yeah, okay.
And they came in like different colors and stuff like that. It was obviously targeted towards just like, normal everyday people that wanted to make YouTube videos,
just like home videos and stuff. Yeah.
Right. And I remember using that, and I had recorded myself walking through my house while it was completely dark, role playing as like fucking Luigi from Luigi's Mansion. I remember making all these like quotes from Luigi's Mansion. And then in post, I had like, put in the music from Luigi's Mansion. And it was basically just me walking through my house, exploring it like it was the game. And I think I had put in like a PNG of like one of the ghosts.
Oh, wow. You're a pro. PNGs?
I know, right?
I had no idea at the time.
I had just figured out like what a transparent image was. And I was like, oh, okay, I can put that in there. And yeah, it was just like my first piece of content. I mean, it's gone now.
All
gone,
obliterated,
deleted off of the internet forever. But if only I had preserved it with Wayback Machine.
My mom was she wasn't anti-YouTube. It was more because we were kids and like internet safety and stuff.
Yeah.
So she like any videos that was on there deleted. It's gone. Like we were not saving that. But it was so. I don't know. I've told people this story, but the way I started, the first paid videos I was supposed to do, paid is in quotation marks here because I did not get paid for a single one, was Minecraft roleplays.
Of course.
So my brother watched Minecraft roleplays, and so I was like, oh, that people must edit these together, right?
Right.
So I can't remember. I think it was called voiceover something. It was some website, and a lot of it was usually young people like 12 to 15 that want to make a Minecraft roleplay for YouTube. And then they'd be looking for an editor. They'd be like, oh, I'll pay you £5 or like $10 if you edit the roleplay. I'm like, oh yeah. So I signed up and I applied for all of these. I applied for 6, got 3 of them back, paid for 0 of them. And I edited 3 Minecraft roleplay episodes. Oh my
God.
But it's like at the time, I didn't really think about the money too much. I was like, at least I'm editing, And I'm starting somewhere.
Yeah.
And then,
I suppose.
Yeah. And then I moved to Premiere and stuff. And then I found Davis.
Oh,
I found
cool.
a Lily Pichu video. And then I was like, wow, this goes crazy. This is good.
Yeah.
And like, I straight up ripped him off. Like I straight up copied. Like, it wasn't even like I'm going to rip him off for someone else's video. It was, I really want to know how he did this. So I downloaded some videos from my friend who recorded a vlog. I like searched what is the font that Davis uses, or like what is the Lily Peachy font.
Yeah.
Use that font to edit the video. How does Davis do the bounce? No information. And then I message him trying to get information, stuff like that. Like, how did you do this? And I slowly built up my own editing based on Davis's style. And I was like, wow, I could do that.
Yeah.
And then I'd watch someone else do a cool edit and I'd be like, oh, I want to learn how to do that. And then I learned how to do it. And then I put it into another video and stuff like that. I feel like within editing, there's a big, sometimes you get people that are very, I feel like gatekeeping is quite rude, but it's almost like gatekeeping.
Defensive.
Editing. Yeah. It's like,
protective.
Yes. Protective is a better, because it's understandable. Everyone has their own style and no one likes when you're completely copied, of course. But I feel like within everyone's style, it's a merge of multiple styles from other people. Like you learn from other people. And it's like, for example, Prezzo. I'd watch a Cold Ones video. I'd see him make like a mouth bigger. And I'd be like, wow, that is so, no, you know what? A perfect example is the Germa face?
The sus face?
The sus face with the smile.
Yeah.
I saw that and I laughed so hard. And then Prezzo put it in a Cold Ones video. And I was like, I have to do this. And then I put it in a Cody video and all the comments were freaking out about this smile and it's like nightmare fuel. And then Cody tweeted out the tweet and just tagged me in it. And I gained like 100 followers from that alone. And it was just like, hilarious. This is nightmare fuel. And it's like, obviously Prezzo didn't invent it.
Thank you, Germa.
But yeah, thank you, Germa. But Prezzo didn't invent it, of course. But he took that inspiration from the Germa and he made it into like video form and he edited it really well. And then I took that idea, like switched it up, changed it a bit, put it into more my style, and then did the same thing. And it's like, I feel like people need to understand that you can completely take inspiration from people. There's a difference between copying someone, like plagiarism, and taking inspiration from someone's idea and like reworking it or remaking it to your own,
Right. It's very difficult, I would say, to mimic an editing style so much that it would quantify as an actual copy.
Yes.
Because like usually the content type is different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%.
Unless you're editing for someone and you're trying to take an editing style that is from a competing channel to the person you're editing for, maybe then I could see an argument. But for the most part, like if you're just trying to like pick up on tips of like how people utilize motion or how they do zooms or whatever, like that just means that you do those well. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's your thing.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like I don't mind when I see other people, do what I used to do in like the React videos for Noel. I kind of developed like a quote unquote Kyo style. And if you asked me to define it, it would be impossible for me. I really don't know what makes or breaks a Kyo video. But if, during that era, if I were to ask one of my editing friends, would you be able to pick my edit out of a group of like, 3, 4, 5, they would probably tell you yes.
Yeah.
That I would have a signature enough style to be able to recognize. But if I recognize that in someone else's piece of content, and I even think that it was, inspired by me in the slightest, I have no problem with that. Like, that just means that I did a good enough job to, inspire someone. And
that's so true. Honestly, like when I stream and someone's like, oh, Zade, you're my biggest inspiration, like to start editing, that actually makes my day, because that was me tweeting to reply to Davis, Preza, this person, that person, like way back. And it's like to hear it come full circle, and now people are saying about me, and then watching them. There's this guy, Sensei, this editor Sensei. He I found him from one of my streams. He came in, and he's such a chill guy. And I was editing a video, and he was asking questions, and I was answering all the questions. And he came back, just DM'd me, and he sent me this project he was working on. And I was like, this is crazy. Like, seeing the improvement, just watching it happen in front of you as you help someone out, and then you watch them improve and get better and better. It's such a good feeling. I know for a fact this guy, he's such a good editor. I think he's focusing on school right now, but if you did it full time or you focus on getting into it, I already know it's going to go full circle again. Someone's going to be asking him, oh, how did you do this? How'd you do that? And it's like, we keep getting better. And that's the best part. I absolutely love it.
100%. 100%. Yeah. A perfect example of that is how, when I was talking a bit more with Polite, he's always been super, super busy recently, so I haven't got to talk to him in a bit. But I remember him saying that of like all the editors that used to, inspire him, he just kind of became buddies with over time, because he elevated his content production up to their level. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I was really shocked to be one of those people that he mentioned, and I was just kind of like flabbergasted. I was like,
wow, yeah,
what? And and look at him now. Like he does some of the best edits on the platform, and he does it all the time, like as much as I do. So I mean, it's crazy that you can have these editing inspirations, but they're not invincible pillars that are untouchable. Like, you can get there in a short amount of time. You really just have to like, push yourself to improve and, strive to want to get better. Yeah. And it's really not a far-fetched thing. Like, I know plenty of editors now that are, making really, really, really good content or good edits that said that they started editing, based around, maybe not just me, but people like me or my style of edits. And they enjoyed them so much that they wanted to start learning it themselves. And that's enough for me to be like, okay, awesome. I'm doing the right thing. I'm still enjoying what I do. And just hearing that it inspires other people is really cool. So
it's such a good feeling. Such a good feeling.
Definitely. I mean, honestly, really, you seem to just be beginning to hit your stride in the editing space, and you're doing some like really incredible work with all your recent clientele. Is there like an immediate goal for the future you're trying to aim for, or is there like a long-term dream that you're wishing to achieve sometime? Or is it like maybe both?
That's such a good question. I think a long-term goal would be to be editing for myself full time, like doing my own content.
Okay, cool.
And making money off my own videos. Like, the end goal would be that I can film videos either with my friends or on my own, and I could go home, edit those videos over the week, and then get a paycheck at the end of the month. That would be like the end goal, is that I make money doing my own thing.
Right.
But for the future, my goal is honestly just to, I guess, like grow my name a bit more, only get better at editing, do more Blender stuff, learn the ins and outs of YouTube. I think that's a big thing, because if I were to just upload a video right now, it could only go so far. I've got to think of timing, promotion, thumbnails.
SEO is a whole different beast.
There's so much to think about, to go from editing someone else's content that's guaranteed to get, like, if I edit a video for Cody, I know it's going to get at least like 1.2 million views. Whereas if I'm editing my own one, I have to work on how am I going to get up in views, like, to hundreds of views and stuff like that. But yeah, no, future goals is keep working, keep myself afloat, really, paying bills. And just have fun. I really don't. I've been burnt out before, and it's not a great feeling.
Nope, definitely not. You heard the other podcast, so I'm sure you know my story. So.
Yeah. So it's like it's tough to because sometimes you just have to think of it as, if I don't get this done, I don't get paid. If I don't get paid, who's going to pay for my accommodation? Yeah, who's going to pay for my lunch? Who's going to pay for the internet and stuff like that? And it's like,
but you also, on the flip side, you have to make sure that you don't send yourself into a panic spiral over those things.
Yes. I've had moments of, I think my biggest issue right now is balancing college and like my schoolwork outside of school. Like I play American football, or I guess it's just football to you guys. So doing football training 5 times a week, and then games on the weekends, and then also going out with friends and parties, and then also doing editing at the end of the day when I have a video due at the end of the week.
Right.
And then also wanting to do my own content. It's like a lot could go wrong trying to balance this much.
Yeah, of course.
And I think my main focus right now is not to get overwhelmed by that, because I don't want to focus too much on editing and then my grades go down, or focus only on football and then I start handing in videos late. Yeah, I'm just focusing on improving, really.
No, that's good. That's really good. And I think you're really hitting a decent pace with that. And I don't see you slowing down anytime soon.
Thank you.
So as long as you're feeling comfortable in the sense of, you know, the pace that you're currently at, I think you'll be just fine, man.
That means a lot. Thank you.
For sure. I think I have pretty much exhausted everything that I was going to ask you. Is there anything else you'd like to add to our little podcast today?
If you want to start getting into editing, I'd say just do it. You know,
just do it.
Just do it.
And it's always worth it.
100%. It's always worth it. I've said 100% and always worth it about 1,000,000 times in this podcast, but I mean it.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for chatting with me today, Zade. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
Where can people find you if they wish to keep up with your editing work?
Twitter, Real Zade on Twitter, and Zade on YouTube, and twitch.tv/Real Zade.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming out to the show. And hopefully, maybe in the future, we can have you again.
100%. I'd love to. Thank you so much.